Now joining us on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline, friend of the program, BYUtv analyst. You can watch him on After Further Review and Countdown to Kickoff this fall. His name's David Nixon. David, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, guys?
Great. You tweeted at Mitch Matthews the other day saying something to the effect of, good luck with training camp. It's like the worst thing ever. What advice do you have for all these guys heading to training camp?
Just take every day as it comes. Don't start crossing off your calendar like missionaries do when you're leaving and when you're going to be done. Just take a day at a time, because if you start trying to count down days, it's going to make it even more miserable.
Hey, wait. So you're saying counting down every day is a bad thing?
It's a terrible thing in NFL training camp, because that training camp is so long.
Hey,
it is the longest thing ever.
David, Andy Reid will not let any of his players get trunky. That is not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, so says the Kansas City Chief fan. But,
yeah. All right.
It's funny because I actually I saw Riley Nelson yesterday, and he joked about that tweet. If you saw his response to me, he said, "Come on, Dave, you can't let the youngsters get down on themselves before they report to camp." And it goes for college camp. College camp's always tough because it's hot, etc. But the NFL training camps take on a whole different meaning, because you're fighting for your job. I mean, in college, you're on scholarship. You're probably most likely going to be there for the fall. They're not going to cut you. But NFL, every single day, it's that emotional battle. Like you see your best friends getting cut left and right. You see them bringing in different linebackers every day to work out, to possibly take your job. And then on top of that, it's just a grind. I mean, you're up from 6:30 till about 9 o'clock at night in meetings and practice, and it's just a long, long grind. So it's fun, because obviously it indicates it's the beginning of a new year with football, but at the same time, as a player, you're just like, man, this is a whole month of a lot of time that has to go into this. So obviously wishing best of luck. We love to see BYU Cougars former players excel in the NFL, but training camp is one long month. I'll just put it that way.
Well, if you thought you were going to get through this interview without us talking about Big 12 expansion, we're going to get that right out of the gate. How are you handling all of this Big 12 expansion discussion? Are you like me, like at the end of the day, you've got to take Pepto-Bismol because your nerves are shot?
Not nervous. I'm eating it up, though. I'm loving it. I go on. I love to follow the national sports writers. Here's my thing. If there's any national sports writer that I've hated because of anything they've written about BYU, or I just hate them because I hate them, I automatically forgive them for any past sins once they say BYU will be in the Big 12. I just forgive anything, any misdoings they've done in the past when they say, yeah, my sources tell me BYU is in the Big 12. I'm like, I love this guy. He's the best writer in the country.
I've been anti-BYU this whole time until now. I love him.
Exactly. So it's fun. Obviously, you can't get too wrapped up in it, because you don't want to set yourself up for failure and be an emotional wreck if BYU doesn't get invited.
It's too late for that, David.
It's too late, but you've got to pace yourself on this news, because there's been reports that they'll announce within the next few weeks or before the season starts. There's also been reports that they're going to go into the season possibly. So you've just got to kind of pace yourself and hope that eventually it comes out and BYU's name is called.
Riddle me this. Here's how I feel this could affect the season. So if BYU is invited to the Big 12, I think that people will have fun with this 2016 season, but it will be seen in some kind of exhibition light from the fans, because everyone looks forward to the Big 12 era, right? The end of an era. What do you think of that idea?
I'd actually probably agree. I think if BYU goes out and stumbles out of the block and struggles throughout the season because of the new coaching staff and things like that, I think everyone will just kind of say, okay, we'll just chalk that up to a preseason to the real season coming up in the Big 12. So but at the same time, you've got to take what you're dealt, and that is this season. And I know people don't want to just write it off, and so BYU fans are very passionate, as we all know. And they're going to want wins immediately and wins now, and not wait till they get to the Big 12 to see how that goes. So I can see both sides of that coin. Me personally, obviously, you'd want to go on a high note out to the Big 12 if you get invited, because you don't want to go in there losing, having a losing record. You want to ride it high and be able to show that you belong.
David Nixon joining us on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. Our Twitter question today, David, are you more excited about a potential Big 12 invite for BYU or the upcoming football season? How would you respond to that?
Kind of going back to what we said earlier, I'm going to have to say season, because if you put the Big 12 invite in front of the season, like I said, that could get drug on till October, November or something. So I have to say I'm looking forward to the season because at least we have a definitive start date to the season. This Big 12 invite could linger on for a while. So I'm looking more forward to the season, and I'm looking forward to these first 3 games and how BYU can come out hot and start strong.
Yeah, you've been very vocal. Several months ago, you said, "Hey, BYU's going to win the Pac-12 South. They're going to go 3-0 to start the season with Arizona, Utah, and UCLA." Defend yourself on that because if BYU's 3-0, they're top 15 at that point.
Yeah, I won't back down from that.
I know you won't, man.
I think UCLA will be our toughest test. Here at home, which I think bodes well for BYU. I think Utah obviously is going to be a great game. You throw out any of the experience, and BYU comes in this if Taysom's healthy and starting, BYU comes in with a better quarterback. I think offensively they've got more weapons with running backs, etc. But then once you throw that all out the window when you go against your rival, and so obviously that's going to be a tough game up at Rice-Eccles. And then of course Arizona starting out kind of basically a home game for them. But I think BYU fans will obviously show up well there. That's a toss-up. So I'm confident in my BYU Cougars. I think that Kalani can get them ready. But it's going to be a tough start. But I still think they'll prevail 3-0.
What's the most exciting part about the season to you?
For me, it's just seeing how these guys come out and kind of react to a new coaching staff, right? I mean, sometimes you have to rally around the new coaching staff, and I've played for a few different teams where in the NFL where you had new coaching staffs come in or a new coordinator, D coordinator, and it takes time to adjust to them. And I think BYU was able to hop on and get Kalani in there obviously pretty soon to where they at least had a fall camp. They've had summer around these coaches. So it's just kind of seeing how they rally around him, and I'm excited to see this new pro-style offense with Ty Detmer. I mean, for so long we've seen the spread offense here at BYU. Now we're going to go with the quarterback under center. I mean, it's going to be a different look. I don't think BYU fans have really thought long and hard about that, but it's going to be a different look than we're used to in the past. It's going to be going back more to the 90s and 80s where you've got quarterbacks under center and moving around. So, and at the same time with Taysom, how are they going to utilize Taysom and his speed? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. And I think that's probably the most intriguing part of this upcoming season.
David Nixon is on BYU Sports Nation. The number one storyline of fall camp, in my opinion, will be who's the starting quarterback, and we'll watch that until BYU declares, right? What other storylines will you be watching? For me, it's, of course, me being a linebacker. I defensively, I want to see how these linebackers adjust to that 4-3. I want to see how Francis Bernard can be plugged in. Fred Warner, it is a big transition. I remember going from college to pros where you go from being on the line in a 3-4 as an outside linebacker to all of a sudden you're now stacked behind, your big D tackles and your D ends, and the technique and your reads are all different. And so there's going to be somewhat of adjustment for those two backers, especially from Francis coming over from offensive side of the ball. But for Fred, I think for him, the reads are going to be different. I think the defensive staff will still put him in great positions for him to use his athleticism to go out there and make plays. But it's just going to be different. So I would love to see how they play, if they're playing downhill or are they hesitant. Are they getting their proper reads? I mean, all reports say that this defense is pretty simple, especially compared to what Bronco was running. And we've talked about in the past, when you have a simple defense, guys know their assignments. You play so much faster because there's no indecision. You're going right at your key and you're going downhill. So for these guys, I'm excited to see how that all plays out for them. And defensively, same thing with the defensive line. Kind of the front seven will be the thing I'm watching. Defensive line, how do they play? Are they able to swallow up blocks? Are they able to shed those defensive ends? Are they able to hold the edge? So there's a lot of things that will have to play out for defensively. Offensively, I think they'll be a well-oiled machine by the end of fall camp. There's going to be some kinks they have to work out. But you've got the playmakers out there, and I think they'll be able to utilize those and go from there.
With about a week to go before fall camp begins, what is this time like for the players?
This is the time where you just soak it up. Like literally every minute of your life, you're just kind of at the pool and you're like, man, this is my last Thursday or this is my last Friday. I'm going to have free until like literally next summer, because you think about it, school starts back up and then even winter workouts after the season's over. And also you start second guessing yourself on everything. You're like, oh, let's go to the lake. And you're like, actually, maybe the boat could flip. I could maybe get hurt. And so everything you're second guessing, and you're like, the last thing you want to do is get hurt. I mean, let's go on a scooter ride. No, what if we flip it or something? It's not going to, I can't do that. So it's a time where you're getting ready for camp. You're so close, and you don't want anything to spoil that or disrupt that. And so, but it's a fun time. You really are. You're spending time with family, and you're relaxing a little bit because, like you said, in about a week, things go from being kind of a relaxed environment to very quick, very fast, and pretty high pressure at that point.
Well, enjoy, man. You put in your 4 years in college, I believe 4 years in the pros as well. And so no training camp for you. You can take it easy. And then we'll
take that scooter ride.
We'll get going after further review in a couple weeks.
I'm telling you, when I see these guys reporting to camp, I just sit back and in this AC, and I'm like, man, my life is great. I'm not complaining one bit.
David, we appreciate the time, man.
All right, guys. Take care.